Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm tackling a question that comes up more often than you might think, and that's, can I buy a home without a realtor? Now, the short answer, technically yes. The better answer, probably shouldn't. And at the end of this video, you'll see exactly why. So let's get into it. As always, my name is Irby, your trusted real estate resource right here in Blacksburg, Virginia and the New River Valley. And it's our goal with this YouTube channel that it's your #1 resource for all the things you need to know, both about relocating to this area and living in it. And please, if you find this information helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, if you are actually thinking about making a move to the area, I would love to be the realtor that you choose to work with. So, can you buy a home without a realtor? Yes, in Virginia, you're not legally required to use a realtor to buy a home. You can search Zillow or Realtor.com, schedule showings directly with the listing agent, you can write an offer and even go to closing, all without ever signing on with a buyer's agent. But just because you can do something doesn't mean it's in your best interest. I mean, think about it like this. You can cut your own hair, you can do your own taxes, you can even represent yourself in court, but that doesn't mean it's all going to go well. And when it comes to buying a home, one of the largest financial decisions most people make, especially if you're relocating from out of town, the stakes are just too high to go at it alone. Now, if you're like a lot of people I talk to, you might think that a buyer's agent, or the realtor that represents the buyer's side of the transaction, just unlocks doors or sends you properties online. But in reality, our job goes way beyond that. We're here to interpret local market trends and property values, identify red flags in a home that may or may not show up in the photos, write and structure legally binding offers, negotiate not just price, but repairs, timelines, seller concessions, contingencies to protect you. I mean, the list goes on and on. Guide you through home inspections, appraisals, and contingency timelines. Connect you with trusted local lenders, attorneys, inspectors, and contractors. Manage all the paperwork and communication from offer to closing. Buying a home is emotional, financial, and at times confusing. So having someone who's done it literally hundreds of times before, who does it full time, well, that brings stability and strategy to what might otherwise feel like chaos. And if you're relocating to Blacksburg, you really need someone local. Let's say you're not from the area. Maybe you're moving here for a job at Virginia Tech, or you're just drawn here by the mountains, the pace of life, or the community feel. Whatever the reason, if you're not physically in Blacksburg or nearby during the search, the value of a local agent becomes even more important. Why? Well, because homes in this market move super fast. A great home in a desirable neighborhood can go under contract within a couple of days or even hours. So when you're out of town, you're at a disadvantage. You can't just drive over after work and take a look at a house. You're depending on online photos, which might actually hide just as much as they show. And that's where a local realtor becomes your eyes and ears on the ground. A good agent will tour homes for you. They'll take extra video footage, give you an honest take on what's nearby, whether that's a nice new elementary school or well, let's say not so charming next door neighbor's decor. Or they'll even find opportunities for you before they hit the major listing sites. We also know the local context you won't get from a website like Zillow. We know which part of town stay noisy past dark, which neighborhoods get flooded in heavy rain, which properties have restrictive HOA rules that might affect your lifestyle, and that's the kind of insight that is impossible to Google, but makes a huge difference when you're trying to make a smart, long-term decision. And what about the paperwork? Yes, the paperwork. There are around 20 to 30 different legal documents involved in the average Virginia home purchase, and even more if you're getting financing, buying with an HOA, or making any kind of repair-related request. Every single one of those documents comes with deadlines, legal terminology, and potential liabilities. So miss one detail and you could accidentally waive your right to an important contingency like a home inspection, accidentally agree to buy the home as is without understanding the risks associated, or miss a deadline and lose your earnest money deposit. Or worse, end up in breach of the contract, which could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Now, an experienced buyer's agent knows how to structure your offer to protect your interests. We know when to push back, when to clarify terms, and how to flag risks that could totally derail your deal. Now let's shift gears for a second and talk about strategy. Because buying a home isn't just about paperwork, it's about positioning. And this is probably one of the biggest values that a seasoned realtor brings to the table. We don't just help you write an offer, we help you write winning offers. And in a market like Blacksburg, especially with low inventory and high competition near Virginia Tech, it's not uncommon for homes to get multiple offers. Now, if you are going up against 5 or 6 other buyers, it's not just about how much money you offer, it's about how your entire offer is structured. For example, do you waive the home inspection or just make it for information only? And what does that even mean? Do you offer a flat rate price or do you write in an escalation clause that the way the price is based on other competing offers? Do you offer a delayed closing or a rent back for the seller? And who's going to eat that expense if so? How much earnest money should you include to show that you're serious? And how quickly can you close without putting your financing at risk? See, these are all strategic decisions, and a good realtor will know how to tailor your offer to the seller's priorities, but without putting you in a vulnerable position. We also know when to push, when to pause, and how to read between the lines in conversations with the listing agent. Sometimes what's not said is just as important as what is said. And when we sense there's some wiggle room, then we negotiate. That might mean getting you a price reduction or a seller credit after inspections. It might mean spotting overinflated listing prices before you waste your time, or it might mean structuring an offer that stands out without being the highest price. And all of this is strategy, and you don't want to be figuring this out for the first time when your dream home is on the line. Next up, let's talk real-world consequences. Here are just a few of the risks that people run into when they buy without a realtor. Number 1, overpaying for the home. The listing agent represents the seller, not you, and their job is to get the highest price for the seller. So without your own agent, you don't have anyone giving you comparable sales data or helping you decide what the home is really worth in today's market. Number 2, missing hidden issues. Without someone walking through the property with a trained eye, you might miss signs of water damage, foundation issues, outdated systems, or other costly problems that an inspection might or might not fully catch. Number 3, weak or incomplete offers. Now, offers that are missing documents, written with vague language, or incorrectly worded terms, or lacking protections, are common from unrepresented buyers, and they often get rejected or countered aggressively. Number 4, lost time and opportunities. Because in a fast-moving market like Blacksburg where inventory is tight, well, hesitation costs you. And if you're learning the process as you go, you'll likely miss out on some of the best homes because you weren't ready, or you didn't act fast enough, or didn't know how to respond appropriately to a counteroffer. And number 5 is emotional fatigue, because buying a home, especially when relocating, can be a full-time job. And without guidance, the stress can take over. So having a local expert advocating for you removes a huge mental burden and can help keep you focused on what really matters, which is finding that right home. But wait, don't realtors cost money? That's another great question and another misconception. Now, speaking purely for myself here, as a buyer's agent representing buyers, I have almost always been paid by the seller. And that's because a lot of sellers realize that buyers often won't be able to pay their realtor while also spending a lot of money out of pocket to buy their home. So it benefits the seller to pay it on their behalf. But it's important to know that this is really just one of the negotiable components of your purchase offer on a home. Now, a seller knows that if they want to attract the best offer, they need to attract as many buyers as possible. And to attract as many potential buyers as possible, it can be wise on the seller's part to be willing to pay for that buyer's agent compensation. Now, if they're unwilling, well, then it usually falls on the buyer themselves to pay for that compensation out of pocket. And as you can imagine, that would weed out and greatly reduce the number of potential buyers from a seller's buyer pool. So when the seller pays the buyer's agent compensation, you get the benefit of professional guidance, contract expertise, negotiation support, local insight, I mean, the list goes on, and the seller foots the bill. That is a win-win. So when might it make sense to buy without a realtor? Well, I'll be honest, there are a few narrow situations where it might make sense to buy without representation. For instance, if you're a seasoned investor, you've bought multiple homes before, and you're buying a property that you already know well, it could work. Or if you're purchasing a home off-market from a friend or family and you feel comfortable navigating that world of complexities that happens during the real estate transaction. Or you work in a profession like an attorney or mortgage lending that often deals with real estate contracts. But even in those cases, many people still choose to work with an agent simply because the process can be time-consuming and legally complex. So yes, you can buy a home without a realtor in Blacksburg, but unless you're already deeply familiar with the local market, you understand contract law, and you have the time and experience to manage a 6 or 7-figure transaction all on your own, well, in my opinion, it's just not worth the risk. Your home will probably be the most expensive purchase you'll ever make. So don't go into it blind. Now, whether you're moving to Blacksburg from across the country or just across town, having someone local on your side makes the process smoother, smarter, and quite honestly, can be safer. So what do you think? Could you see yourself living here? If so, please reach out to me directly. My cell phone number and email address are on the screen, and I would love to chat with you about what relocating to Blacksburg and the New River Valley could look like for you. And please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you can continue to follow along about all things living in Blacksburg and the New River Valley. I look forward to helping you win with real estate. Thanks so much.